From the moment we are children, a simple equation is drilled into our minds. Intelligence equals success. It is the master key, the one gift that promises to unlock all the doors of a well-lived life. We are taught that a sharp intellect leads to good grades, which lead to prestigious universities, which in turn lead to successful careers and a life of solved problems. In the grand, often intimidating lottery of existence, intelligence is considered the winning ticket. It is the one attribute that almost everyone agrees is an unequivocal good, a powerful light that can cut through the darkness of ignorance and illuminate a path to prosperity and contentment. We admire it, we cultivate it, we test for it, and we build our entire educational and professional systems around its presumed power. But a quiet, inconvenient truth haunts the biographies of history's most gifted minds. It is a ghost in the machine of genius. We see it in the stories of the brilliant novelist who could map the entire human condition on the page, yet could not navigate the labyrinth of their own profound depression. We see it in the groundbreaking scientist who could decode the secrets of the cosmos, but felt a crushing, unbridgeable loneliness, unable to form the simplest of human connections. We see it in the visionary artist who created works of sublime beauty, but lived a life of private torment and self-destruction. Their external success, the very proof of their intelligence, often becomes a glittering facade for a crumbling internal world. This leads us to a deeply uncomfortable paradox. How can the very tool we believe is designed for ultimate problem-solving be so utterly inept at solving the most important problem of all, the problem of how to live? How can a mind capable of composing a symphony or formulating a new theory of physics be so easily defeated by the simple, everyday weight of existence? It seems like a design flaw, a cruel cosmic joke. We are given a powerful instrument capable of perceiving the subtlest nuances of reality, but this same sensitivity makes it exquisitely vulnerable to pain. A simple mind, like a simple instrument, can play simple, happy tunes, untroubled by the harsh dissonances of the world. But a complex mind is a finely tuned violin. It can produce music of transcendent beauty, but it also vibrates with every frequency of suffering, every echo of futility, every tremor of despair that permeates the air. What if this isn't an occasional bug, but a fundamental feature of the system? What if the possession of a powerful intellect is not a guarantee of a good life, but a predisposition to a specific and profound kind of suffering? This is not a modern idea. It is an ancient and unsettling wisdom, a brutal diagnosis from one of history's most unflinching philosophical physicians, Arthur Schopenhauer. He dared to voice the secret that our optimistic, progress-obsessed society still refuses to hear. Schopenhauer's final secret is this: a powerful intellect does not grant you an escape from the suffering that defines life. It grants you a front-row seat. He argued that the gifted mind, with its sharp clarity and deep sensitivity, is not built for happiness. It is, by its very nature, perfectly and exquisitely engineered to fail. To understand this shocking conclusion, that a powerful mind is built to fail, we must journey into the heart of Arthur Schopenhauer's desolate and beautiful philosophy. The secret is not found in a simple psychological observation, but in the very architecture of reality as he saw it. To unlock his secret, we must first understand his masterwork, his grand theory of everything, which he titled The World as Will and Representation. For Schopenhauer, these are the two fundamental sides of all existence. One is the world we see, and the other is the hidden force that drives it. First, there is the will. And it is crucial to understand that when Schopenhauer speaks of the will, he does not mean your personal willpower, your ability to choose one thing over another. The will is a far grander and more terrifying concept. It is a single, universal, metaphysical force that surges through every single thing in the cosmos. It is the blind, striving energy that causes a plant to grow relentlessly toward the sun, the force that makes a spider instinctively spin its web, the gravitational pull that holds galaxies together. In humans, the will manifests as our endless, insatiable desire, the desire for food, for wealth, for power, for love, for life itself. This will, Schopenhauer argues, is the true engine of the world, and its two primary characteristics are that it is blind and it is insatiable. It has no ultimate goal or purpose. It simply strives for the sake of striving. And because it can never be truly satisfied, it is the universal source of all suffering. Life, in Schopenhauer's view, is a pendulum that swings eternally back and forth between pain and boredom. The pain is the wanting, the striving, the unfulfilled desire of the will. The boredom is the brief, listless emptiness that descends the moment a desire is fulfilled, just before a new one arises to torment us. A life governed by the will is, by its very definition, a life of misery. So where does our intelligence, our consciousness, fit into this bleak picture? This is the second half of the equation, the world as representation. For Schopenhauer, the intellect is a secondary phenomenon. It is a tool that the will developed in more complex beings, like humans, for one reason only, to help it achieve its aims more effectively. The intellect is a servant to the will. Think of it this way. The will is a blind, stumbling, powerful giant driven by a relentless hunger. The intellect is a small, clear lantern that the giant holds in its hand. The lantern doesn't choose the destination. Its only job is to illuminate the immediate path, helping the giant avoid obstacles on its pointless journey to satisfy a craving that will never end. Our reason, our logic, our very consciousness, these are not gifts for discovering truth or beauty. They are merely sophisticated instruments in the service of a blind, irrational master. And here we arrive at the heart of the paradox. This is why the intelligent person is built to fail. A person of average intellect has a dim lantern. It illuminates only a few feet ahead. They are aware of their immediate desires, their immediate pains, and not much else. Their suffering is direct and uncomplicated. But the person of genius, the highly intelligent individual, possesses a brilliant, powerful lantern. Its light cuts through the darkness for miles in every direction. And with this powerful light, they see not only the next step, but the entire horrifying landscape. They see that the giant they serve, the will, is blind and stumbling. They see that the journey has no ultimate purpose. They see that every supposed destination is a mirage, and that the path only ends in the abyss of death. This clarity is the curse. The intelligence, a tool designed to help the will, becomes the very thing that reveals the utter horror and futility of its servitude. The gifted servant is the first to realize that their master is a madman, and that knowledge is the source of their unique, profound, and inescapable failure to find peace. To understand Schopenhauer's framework is to be handed a map of a territory you have secretly inhabited your entire life. It gives a name to the ghosts, a logic to the sorrow. But living with this sharper lens is a profoundly isolating experience, one that theories can describe but never fully capture. It is the loneliness of seeing a different world than the one everyone else seems to inhabit. I have sat at dinner tables surrounded by laughter and cheerful conversation, and felt like a foreign anthropologist. I listened to a friend recount a simple story about their day, and while I am nodding and smiling, my mind is performing a ruthless, involuntary analysis. I am not just hearing the words, I am seeing the subtext, the subtle flicker of insecurity in their eyes as they boast, the deep-seated need for validation behind a casual anecdote, the fleeting sadness that they try to paper over with a joke. I am not trying to be critical. I am not trying to be superior. The analysis simply happens. It is the default setting of a mind that is built to see patterns, and this constant silent dissection makes it impossible to just participate. You feel perpetually one step removed, an observer of the warmth, never a true inhabitant of it. This extends beyond simple conversations. When friends discuss their exciting new career paths, you see the larger, more depressing pattern of corporate life, the inevitable trajectory toward burnout or disillusionment. When a couple celebrates a new romance, your mind quietly calculates the statistical probabilities of failure and the societal pressures that manufactured the moment. You see the will, blind and striving everywhere. You see its puppet strings attached to the people you love. And because you see it, you are a heretic. To verbalize these patterns, to point out the inconvenient truths beneath the surface, is to be labeled a pessimist, a cynic, a killjoy. And so, you learn the art of silence. You learn to perform a convincing enthusiasm. You learn to praise the very illusions you see through. And this performance is the most exhausting work of all. It is a tax you pay for social acceptance, and the price is a profound, unshakable loneliness. But the sharpest lens is the one that is permanently turned inward. If the world is a difficult place to observe, your own mind can become a torture chamber. Every mistake you have ever made is stored in a high-definition archive, ready to be replayed and analyzed from 1,000 different angles. Every future decision is met with a crippling paralysis, as your intellect, in its attempt to be thorough, presents you with a detailed and compelling case for every possible way you could fail. Your own mind, the very gift you possess, becomes your primary tormentor. It is a relentless critic who knows all of your weaknesses. It is a grand inquisitor who finds you guilty of crimes you haven't even committed yet. The brilliant lantern Schopenhauer described does not just illuminate the madness of the world's will, it illuminates, most painfully, your own. And so, what is the secret wish of a person cursed with this clarity? It is not to be smarter, or more successful, or more admired. It is far simpler and more desperate than that. It is the wish for a moment of stupidity. The desire, just for one afternoon, to be able to watch a sunset and simply think, that is beautiful, without the mind immediately beginning a lecture on the atmospheric scattering of light particles or contemplating the cosmic indifference that the dying light represents. It is the desire to hear a song and just feel it, without deconstructing its chord progressions and lyrical themes. It is the profound, secret, and sometimes shameful longing to be able to dim the lights of your own perception, to trade a measure of your painful clarity for a single moment of genuine, uncomplicated peace. To be left with this diagnosis, that a powerful mind is a vessel for suffering, is to be left in a state of intelligent despair. It would seem that the only logical conclusion is a quiet and bitter resignation. But Schopenhauer, for all his pessimism, was not a nihilist. He did not believe that we were without recourse. He simply rejected the shallow promises of happiness that our culture still sells today. His transformative proposal is not a path to joy, but a path to peace. It is not about winning the game of life, but about learning how to walk away from the playing field altogether. If the will is the source of all suffering, then the only path to tranquility is to use our one great weapon, the intellect, to stage a rebellion against it. The first and most radical path is what can be called the art of wanting less. This is the core of Schopenhauer's ethics. The intelligent mind, having seen the true nature of the will, its endless, insatiable, and ultimately futile striving, can make a conscious choice. It can turn on its master. When a desire arises within you for more status, more wealth, more pleasure, your intellect can now see it for what it is. Not a path to fulfillment, but just another trick of the will, another link in the chain of suffering. The practice then is to observe the desire without identifying with it, to let it arise, to acknowledge its power, but to refuse to obey its commands. This is the ultimate expression of intelligence, not using your mind to get what you want, but using your mind to free yourself from the wanting itself. This is asceticism in its purest form. It is the difficult, counterintuitive, and lifelong practice of starving the will, of denying its relentless demands until it begins to quiet down. Schopenhauer understood that this path of denial was incredibly difficult, a feat for saints and sages. He therefore offered temporary shelters, moments of grace where we could find a brief respite from the tyranny of the will. The most powerful of these shelters is the refuge of aesthetic contemplation. When you are truly and completely absorbed in a work of art, a sublime landscape painting, a perfectly formed sculpture, a timeless piece of literature, something miraculous happens. For a moment, your intellect is freed from its servitude to your personal will. You are no longer thinking about your own needs, your own fears, your own small and desperate plans. You become what Schopenhauer called a pure, will-less subject of knowledge. You are simply a mirror, reflecting the beauty and truth of the object before you. And in that moment of pure perception, the striving ceases and the suffering ceases with it. Music, for Schopenhauer, was the highest of all the arts, because it is a direct copy of the will itself. It expresses the universal rhythm of striving, sorrow, and fleeting release. In listening to it, we feel the very essence of the world's pain and struggle, but without it being our own. Art is not entertainment. It is a temporary form of salvation. Finally, the intelligent mind has access to a third path, one that transforms isolation into connection. It is the practice of universal compassion. When your sharp intellect allows you to pierce through the veil of individuality, you see a profound truth. Every single living being is just another manifestation of the same blind, striving, and suffering will. The person who angers you, the rival who competes with you, the stranger on the street, they are not acting out of some independent evil. They are simply puppets of the same force that pulls your own strings. Their ego is just another mask worn by the will. When you truly understand this, it becomes impossible to hate. Instead, a deep and sorrowful compassion arises. Your suffering is not unique to you. It is the shared, tragic condition of all existence. This realization shatters the walls of your intellectual loneliness. It connects you to every other being on the most fundamental level possible. And in that feeling of shared suffering, you find a peace that transcends the lonely arrogance of the intellect. Compassion, for Schopenhauer, is the ultimate ethical expression of wisdom. We began this journey with a brutal premise, a secret whispered by the philosopher of pessimism himself, that intelligent people are, by their very design, built to fail. We have walked through the bleak landscape of his philosophy and seen the evidence for this claim. We saw how a sharper intellect provides a clearer vision of the world's meaningless, striving will, how a greater sensitivity creates a greater capacity for pain, and how a profound mind can lead to a profound sense of isolation. We arrive now at the end, but also at a final, crucial turning point, the need to redefine the very meaning of failure. The intelligent person is indeed built to fail, but they are built to fail only at the shallow game that society encourages us all to play. The game of endless acquisition, of chasing fleeting pleasures, of ego-driven competition. Their failure at this game is not an accident. It is a direct consequence of their clarity. They have been given a lantern bright enough to see that the game is rigged, that the prizes are hollow, and that the only true outcome is exhaustion. To fail at a foolish game is not a mark of shame. It is a sign of wisdom. It is the first, necessary step toward genuine liberation. The ultimate success in the world, as Schopenhauer saw it, is not the celebration of the ego, but its transcendence. It is not the fulfillment of the will, but its silencing. The greatest victory is not achieving what you desire, but freeing yourself from the tyranny of desire itself. And so, what the world looks upon as failure, a certain detachment from worldly ambition, a quiet and contemplative life, a resistance to the frantic pursuit of happiness, is, from a philosophical perspective, the highest form of success. It is the beautiful, tragic, and noble failure of a mind that was sharp enough to see the truth and brave enough to stop playing. This path of redefining success can be a difficult one. If this deep dive into the paradox of intelligence resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe for more philosophy that challenges conventional wisdom, and I want to hear your perspective in the comments. Tell me, in what way has your own intellect ever felt like a double-edged sword? Your story is a testament to the profound journey of a mind that sees too much,